Cat TV is celebrating 30 years of community media. Help support Cat TV's next 30 years by becoming a member today. Your membership will help us continue covering meaningful, local content. Thank you for supporting your local community media station.
Order. Before we get started with anything else, Jonah, can you please put up on the screen how to participate, please? Jonah? There we go. Okay, there's a meeting here. You can join by Zoom. You can call in. You must be recognized in order to speak. You can raise your hand through Zoom. There's a feature on Zoom to be able to do that. Or if you're on the telephone, hit *9. And when you are prompted, of course, to be able to speak, you have to unmute yourself, which is a common issue with a lot of Zoom meetings where people speak without unmuting themselves. So make sure you click off the mute button if you're on Zoom, or hit *6 if you are on the telephone. And then, of course, you must clearly state your full name and your town of residence before speaking. And of course, whatever you speak about must be germane to the purpose for which we're meeting tonight. Thank you, Jonah. You can take that down. We will start by reading the town warning. The residents of the town of Bennington qualified by law to vote in town meeting are hereby notified and warned to meet via Zoom in said town on Monday, February 28th, 2022 at 7:30 p.m. or immediately following the Southwestern Vermont Union Elementary School District's annual meeting, should that run over, to transact the business specified to be done from the floor. Provisions for the hearing impaired will be in place for this meeting. Following the completion of such business, the meeting will stand adjourned to Tuesday, March 1st, 2022 at the Bennington Fire Facility on Lincoln Street. Please use the Lincoln Street entrance. The polls will be open from 7 a.m. until 7 p.m. for the election of officers and voting on all ballot articles specified. However, those on the checklist to vote in the village of North Bennington shall vote for the election of officers and all ballot articles at the North Bennington Village Office on Main Street in North Bennington, and that's the North Bennington train station. The Bennington Fire Facility above mentioned is hereby established as the central polling place for those on the checklist to vote in said Bennington. Residents of Bennington and North Bennington may register to vote at the town clerk's office located at 205 South Street, Bennington, Vermont. Eligible residents registering on election day must do so at the polling place where they will cast their town meeting ballot. At this time, I would like to ask each of the select board members to introduce themselves to the public, please.
Good evening. I'm Bruce Lee Clark. Welcome to the meeting.
Good evening. I'm Gary Corey.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jean Connor.
Good evening. I'm Jeannie Jenkins.
Good evening. I'm Jim Terrell.
Good evening. This is Sarah Perrin.
Good evening, Tom Haley. Thanks for coming.
Okay, thank you. Also, for town officers and officials, if I missed somebody, please correct me. I know also present are Stu Hurd, Dan Monks, Jonah Spivak, Shannon Barsati, Cassandra Barbeau, and I hope I'm not missing anybody. Okay, at this time, as is the tradition, I know it's a little different, but they've been doing it forever. And it's hard not to do it with a flag in a room where we can all give our Pledge of Allegiance. But Bruce Lee Clark, would you like to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag, of the
United
United
States of America,
America,
and to the
to the republic
for
which it
it
stands,
stands
one nation,
nation,
under God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with
with
liberty
liberty
and
and
justice
justice
for
for
all.
all.
Okay, thank you, Bruce. Okay, Article 1 is, as always, the town report. And for that, we have Jonah Spivak and Shannon Barsati, who should be coming onto the screen right now to share the town report. If there are any questions, we will have a chance to ask questions of the town officials. Jonah, Shannon, would you prefer questions to be asked during, or would you like them to be held until after?
I think at the end would be ideal, and we'll also
Okay.
show that slide again with how people can reach out to us at that time.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Jonah. The floor is yours.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Town Meeting Day. I'm Shannon Barsati, Community Development Director for the Town of Bennington.
And I'm Jonah Spivak, Communications Coordinator. We're honored to present to you the town report at this, our 260th town meeting.
We want to start by extending our heartfelt thanks to our healthcare system, Southern Vermont Healthcare, and all of our first responders for their leadership in keeping us safe, healthy, and informed during the COVID-19 pandemic. The vision statement for the town of Bennington is that Bennington is a welcoming, engaged, inclusive, and resilient community where everyone, regardless of identity, shares in our vitality and benefits from an outstanding quality of life. Our mission statement is serving people through teamwork.
Bennington has a rich history and is unique in being Vermont's first town. Chartered in 1749, but not settled until 1761, Samuel Robinson first got a look at what would become Bennington while on his way to fight in the French and Indian War. He returned as a leader of the first group of settlers to Bennington. Of course, we are named after the colonial governor of New Hampshire, Benning Wentworth, who signed the charter for our town back in 1749, despite the fact that these same lands were also claimed by New York. Currently, we're the 5th largest town in Vermont. Speaking of that 1749 charter signed by Benning Wentworth, here it is, held by our own town clerk, Cassandra Barbeau. To the right is our original town records vault, where the document currently resides.
We're here tonight to share highlights from the town's 2021 annual report, including updates from each town department. It's been a very busy year with many new developments, so we won't be able to cover everything, but we'll do our best. In 2021, the Bennington Police Department responded to over 10,800 calls for service. As part of their role to serve and protect Bennington citizens, BPD partnered with Southern Vermont Healthcare to promote COVID safety and led the drug take-back program, which safely disposes of unused prescription medications. The BPD also took on a number of new community policing initiatives, including updating department policies and procedures and providing training for the Safety and Equity Task Force, as well as having a BPD officer participate on the new task force. The Climate Advocates of Bennington presented an award to the Bennington Police Department for their work to reduce fossil fuel use through hybrid vehicles and other energy efficiency measures. And the BPD hosted the first National Night Out event in August at Willow Park to promote community between citizens and law enforcement. The BPD also hosts the popular New Experiences Summer Camp for teens.
Like our police department, our fire department provides an essential service to our community, described by local historian Phil Holland as our modern day militia men and women, continuing the tradition of being ready to serve in an emergency at a moment's notice. They respond to hundreds of calls each year, ranging from fires to vehicle crashes, police and medical assists, and various miscellaneous calls. And speaking of tradition, the fire department has also been the keepers of our Bennington Battle Day Parade, 57 years so far and counting. The fire department is also responsible for providing fire prevention training in 6 of our area schools. Our fire department is made up of all volunteers, and they are currently seeking more members. If you're interested, please do consider becoming a volunteer firefighter. speak to an active member of the department, or give them a call at the fire department.
The town's highway department is responsible for maintaining all roads, curbs, sidewalks, and vegetation along the roads. This includes an impressive 128 miles of roads, 41 miles of sidewalks, and hundreds of miles of ditches, culverts, and swales. 2021 projects for the highway department included building a new retaining wall and sidewalk along Imperial Avenue, repaving the road, rebuilding the curbs, and installing stormwater drainage on Washington Avenue, capping the old Furnace Brook landfill, and managing town forest land in Pownell and Woodford.
Speaking of forest lands, one of our most popular Facebook posts was this one about town municipal forests, which garnered over 8,000 reach. Did you know that the town owns 445 acres of land, mostly not in Bennington? These two parcels shown on the left are on Woodford and in Pownell respectively, as Shannon mentioned. The land had been purchased back in the 1930s and 40s to protect the watershed of our former public water supply. Today, the Department of Public Works follows a forest management plan on that land to provide timber while improving habitat and aesthetic value. This timber harvesting has earned the town about 40,000 so far and is expected to reach 100,000 in total before the project is done. Moving on to our water department, water is one of Bennington's historic strengths. The ability to harness running water contributed to Bennington's early industrial development, is a key component of a healthy community, and now a revenue stream as well as we sell excess water from the Morgan Spring to bottled water companies. On the left, we have an 1891 map of Bennington showing the historic Morgan Spring, which is located on Gage Street in front of what is now our Bennington Community Center, better known as the Rec Center. And on the right is a picture of our current water source. That's Bowles Brook in Woodford. From its source in Bowles Brook, our town water goes to our water treatment facility. That blue object at the top of the stairs in the photo on the left, that is a water turbine that generates power as the water enters the facility, offsetting power usage that we would otherwise have to pay for. On average, 1.4 million gallons per day treated and delivered to Bennington residents. The cost for residential flat rate water customers comes to $1.63 per day for unlimited use. Residents can choose to switch to a metered water system if they prefer, while commercial customers are already required to have water meters. And of course, the last piece of the water system puzzle is our wastewater treatment facility. An average of 3.1 million gallons per day are treated before being released into the Williamsack River. In the lower left of the photo, you can see a round building. This is used to store methane gas, and the roof of the building literally goes up and down as the gas produced by the treatment process is collected. The gas is then used by the facility, resulting in cost savings, in effect recycling that gas. Speaking of costs, total cost for residents for sewer services is $1.46 per day for flat rate use. That means residents pay a bit over $3 per day for total for water and sewer combined, which happens to be about a savings of about $30 a month compared to the US average for water and sewer services.
The town's planning department works with the Planning Commission and Development Review Board to develop the town plan and land use and development regulations. In 2021, the planning department implemented important bike and pedestrian initiatives. After 20 years of planning and delays in funding, the rail trail project from Bennington Station to Northside Drive is finally underway, with clearing happening and construction later this summer. The Orchard Village Willowbrook pathway is also completed and is a beautiful wooden boardwalk connecting the two housing developments and creating a safe and accessible pathway for residents and for children walking to Molly Stark School. The Planning Commission also updated the land use and development regulations to include form-based design standards for the zoning districts in and around downtown. These new regulations were approved by the Select Board in April 2021. The Office of Community Development includes myself and Jonah, as well as our administrative assistant. Some of my tasks include making downtown a destination, enhancing our downtown development with support from federal and state grants, and incentivizing downtown business growth through the town's revolving loan program. I also partner on events such as Mayfest with the Better Bennington Corporation and Garlic Town USA with the Southwestern Chamber of Commerce. And I manage the town's marketing campaign, Vermont Begins Here. Despite the pandemic, 2021 has been an exciting year for downtown Bennington, with a number of new businesses opening, the completion of the Putnam Block redevelopment, and the Splash Pad Park. I also work with our partners to expand affordable housing in Bennington. I manage community development block grant funding that comes from the federal government. In 2021, the town received community development funding to complete housing in the Putnam Block, renovate housing units at 219 Pleasant Street with Hale Resources, create transitional housing at 300 Pleasant Street with Shires Housing and the Bennington Coalition for the Homeless, and also for NeighborWorks rental rehab program. Finally, I help to advance community recreation through our partnership with the Berkshire Family YMCA and by collaborating with our outdoor recreation partners on marketing, events, and wayfinding. These partners include the Bennington Area Trail System, Lake Perrin Recreations, Prospect Mountain Association, the Green Mountain Club, and the new Bennington Appalachian Trail Community.
My role as communications coordinator is a new position in the town of Bennington. In short, my job is to ensure that our community gets the information it needs and is kept abreast of everything happening in the town. I write press releases, handle our social media presence, manage the town's 3 websites, as well as do regular citizen and business outreach. Speaking of websites, I am currently working on a major overhaul to redesign and combine all those sites into one complete information source, which may be good news for those who might be frustrated with our current web presence. I'm also in charge of planning for celebratory events, such as the picture at top left of the unveiling ceremony for 219 Pleasant Street, which Shannon mentioned, the Climate Advocates Bennington Award to the Police Department, also mentioned, and the ribbon cutting for the Orchard Village and Willowbrook Trail. Another task was the 2021 Citizen Survey, which was one of my first projects and particularly helpful to me to better understand the needs and wants of our community that informs my work every day. And finally, I'm active in helping plan for the 250th anniversary of the founding of Vermont and the Battle of Bennington, which will occur in 2027. I'm one of 14 commissioners asked by Governor Scott to serve on the Vermont 250th Commission, which is tasked with planning statewide events for that anniversary.
The town's building and ground department works hard to maintain all of our town buildings and parks, including Willow Park, the Splash Pad, Stark Street Playground, Headwaters Park, Greenberg Reserve, Beach Street Ball Field, and the Ninja Path, among others. In 2021, the town began a partnership with the hospital to manage and schedule the use of the former Southern Vermont College soccer field and baseball field, which has enabled more youth practices and games on these beautiful fields. We also have a new outdoor facility, the Bennington Dog Park, which was built at Willow Park and opened in May of 2021. The Friends of the Dog Park raised the funds to build and maintain the new park. Buildings and Grounds also partnered with the VFW to repair and rebuild the benches along the Walloonsack River Walk pathway. As I mentioned earlier, the town partners with the Berkshire Family YMCA, and the Y manages recreation programs for all ages at our town facilities, such as the Bennington Community Center, Willow Park, and the Senior Center. The Y has expanded programs at other sites in town as well, such as Ben High, the former middle school, and the Bennington Sports Center, the former Catamount School. They've developed youth leadership training and jobs for teens as counselors at Y summer camps and after-school programs. Our Senior Center also offers social events, classes, and trips in partnership with the Southwestern Vermont Council on Aging. And the building houses the Bennington County Meals on Wheels program.
The town offices is the heart of town government. It's located at 205 South Street in what was originally the Henry G. Root Homestead, built in 1844. The house was donated to the town for municipal use by his descendants in 1920. It's now home to the town clerk's office, as well as all of our town records going back 260 years. It also includes the Listers and Assessor's Office, Health Officer, Zoning and Code Enforcement, Finance and Collections, HR, Town Management and Support Staff, as well as Shannon and I. Our town is more than just the town departments and a select board. We're very grateful to the dozens of residents who participate by serving on our local boards and commissions. Are you someone who wants to be more involved in our community? This is another way that you as a resident can be directly involved in our town and help serve the community as a whole.
Thank you for joining us to learn more about the town's annual report. You can find the full report at the town's website, benningtonvt.org.
And my thanks as well. Frankly, there is so much happening in the town. Keeping it to 15 minutes was a great challenge for Shannon and I. And we return the floor to Jason Morrissey for questions.
Okay, I do recognize that I failed to mention one town official that's here tonight as well, and that's Joan Pacino, the town treasurer. So I want to recognize that Joan's here as well. Sorry, Joan, I knew I was forgetting somebody, and I'm sorry it was you. At this time, I think if you can just put up the slide once again, Jonah, to show how people can participate, just so they can see it if they would like to ask questions about the town report. That'll give people a chance to, there we go, there it is. Give people a chance to call in or Zoom in as the case may be. And Dan Monks will be able to see if you've tried to enter, and all you need to do is enter and raise your hand, and Dan will give us the heads up. And Dan, is there anybody right now looking to speak or to ask questions on the town report?
I did stop the share just to allow him to see any hands, and I do not see any at this present time.
No hands at the present time.
Okay. Seeing no hands to ask any questions about the town report, I'm going to ask Jean Connor to speak. She has a resolution on Shires housing.
Thank you, Jason. Can everyone hear me? Yeah, okay. Before I read the resolution, I just have a few words to say on behalf of the select board. Every once in a while, a person or an organization contributes to our community in ways that compel us to recognize and honor their accomplishments. We find ourselves in that situation today. After attending a ribbon cutting ceremony for another spectacular Shires housing affordable housing development earlier this year, it became clear that Executive Director Stephanie Lane, the entire staff of Shires, and the Board of Directors deserve to be honored for their incredible work. Research shows that having a nice place to live makes a tremendous difference in the lives of people and families that struggle to find affordable housing. Sometimes it can even be life-changing. Stephanie, in her measured, patient, thorough, fearless, persistent, creative approach, has taken Shires to a level that was unfathomable not that long ago, and Bennington has benefited immensely from their work. The list of how Shires positively impacts our community, in addition to providing housing, is long. Here are just a few examples. Shires Housing hires local contractors whenever possible, which has a direct impact on the local economy. Shires insists energy efficiency is front and center in every project they do, along with historic preservation when applicable. They participate in food distribution initiatives and many other health and wellness programs. They partner with other agencies and the town of Bennington to build a beautiful path that allows children who live in Orchard Village to get to school safely in the event they miss the bus. This will have a direct impact on reducing absences and therefore improving learning. Shires does more than just build affordable housing. What they are capable of and willing to do for Bennington seems endless. Shannon and Jonah rightly included the vision statement for Bennington in their presentation tonight. Shires Housing is a shining example of how using the words in that statement to guide decision-making produces results that work to fulfill our vision for Bennington. The select board is extremely grateful. Thank you and congratulations. Now I will read the resolution that the select board signed a few weeks ago. Resolution honoring Stephanie Lane and Shires Housing. Whereas Stephanie Lane has been the executive director for Shires Housing since 2015, and with her leadership has helped to increase the number of affordable housing units from 225 to more than 400 in her tenure. And whereas she has improved the SASH program, which serves 375 Medicare eligible individuals, and improve the overall health and wellness of low and moderate income families. And whereas under Stephanie's leadership, Shires Housing has created more diverse housing opportunities while investing more than $46 million in Bennington County. And whereas she is now working with various community partners to develop solutions for workforce housing, recovery housing, senior housing, and emergency housing while supporting historic preservation and energy conservation. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Bennington Select Board hereby recognizes and honors Stephanie Lane and Shires Housing for the commitment to provide affordable housing, to provide health and wellness services to families, and to enrich the communities of Bennington County. Dated at Bennington, Vermont, this 28th day of February, 2022. Now I'd like to invite Stephanie Lane, the Executive Director, to say a few words. Thank you, Stephanie.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Lane. I'm the Executive Director and Director of Development for Shires Housing. First, just let me say thank you, Jean Connor. Thank you so much for your continued support for Shires Housing and for being such a champion of the work that we do in the community with this recognition. It means so much to us. In the midst of the current housing crisis in Vermont, the importance of highlighting housing as such a valuable resource in the community is more timely than ever, and we are grateful for this acknowledgement and the spotlight on housing. There are still hundreds of families, as we all know, across the state still living in motels, and the need for quality, affordable housing will persist for the foreseeable future. And we just hope to be a small part of the solution here in Bennington County. We're appreciative of the relationship that we have with the town of Bennington so much, and with the select board and our local representatives, without whom we could not do this work, really. We truly appreciate your support. And I'm really humbled and grateful for the recognition of Shires Housing and the team of people that make our work possible. So it's not me, it's all of us. And I share this with the whole Shires Housing team and the board of directors, as they all know. I want to thank them for their commitment and hard work every day to provide housing. It's not always easy, and they get up and they do it every day. It's not always work that you get rewards every single day for, but when you do, you realize why you do this, and it's just so important. And we hold each other up many days, and especially through the pandemic, as all of us have experienced. The property managers, maintenance, the finance department, our communications team, which is really one person, Madison, and most notably during COVID, the SASH team led by Becky Arbella has been an especially crucial resource to address food insecurity, as Jean had said, and has continued to be a conduit for that with monthly food banks, as well as grant resources to address food insecurity in Bennington and the surrounding areas. So once again, housing serves as a platform for so many community health issues. And I, of course, could not do this work without the support of our amazing volunteer board of directors who strongly believe in our mission and generously give their time, support, and talents to Shires. And they share this recognition as well. Thank you so much to the Shires Housing Board. And in closing, I'm keeping this brief. Thank you again, Jean, for always getting it and for always being such a supporter for what we do. Thank you, Bennington Select Board and Shires staff and Board of Directors for always being there to support our mission and to support me in the work that we do, as well as our partner organizations in the community with whom we work closely, our residents, and our community supporters. This is such a wonderful honor, and thank you so much. I am truly grateful.
Okay, thank you, Stephanie. Thank you, Jean. We're going to move into Ballot items and agency presentations, we're doing it a little bit differently, of course, because can't do certain things by Zoom that we can do in person. So we have 14 articles, the first two of which I will cover, and then we will go to the so-called agency presentations after that. Tomorrow, we will be electing 3 select board members for a term of 3 years, be an election for the town moderator, and also an election for the town treasurer. The 14 articles that we will be voting on tomorrow besides those elections are the following. Article 1, shall the town appropriate for the next fiscal year, July 1, 2022 through June 30th, 2023, the total sum of $14,718,913 consisting of the following: $4,336,020 for the laying out, maintaining, and repairing of the highways and bridges of the town, and $10,382,910 for the payment of the following: any indebtedness otherwise specifically provided for, interest on such indebtedness, legally authorized state and county taxes, the prosecution and defense of the common rights and interests of the inhabitants of the town, and for other necessary incidental expenses. The proposed budget includes $25,000 for fire equipment, $5,000 for fire facilities, $5,000 for technology improvements, $13,000 for parking improvements, $393,200 for healthcare reserve and workers' compensation insurance, $40,000 for marketing, $100,000 for bridges, and $2,000 for well maintenance, any unexpended portion of which will be reserved to subsequent years for that purpose. The second ballot article tomorrow, which is typically done in person at the floor meeting, will be to approve or disapprove the select board's pay at $1,400 annually per select board member. The remaining 12 ballot articles will now give a brief presentation. I'm going to remind the presenters, brief presentation, 2 to 3 minutes maximum. The first is the Bennington County Association Against Child Abuse and their $5,000 allocation. We should be seeing their presenter on the screen any moment.
There we go. Hi there, I'm Jenna Caslin. I'm the Executive Director of the Bennington County Association Against Child Abuse. Most of you will know us by our DBA, the Bennington County Child Advocacy Center. Our office is located here in Bennington at 129 Elm Street. We serve victims of sexual abuse and child victims of egregious physical abuse and neglect, providing coordinated case management, forensic interviews, advocacy, and referrals for victims and non-offending family members from the time of disclosure through the disposition of their case. We also provide prevention education, outreach, as well as support groups. For any additional information on our center, you can visit our website at www.bccac.org. I'd like to thank the voters of the town of Bennington for your support in previous years and hope that you'll vote yes to support the Bennington County Association Against Child Abuse again tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you, Jenna. Next, we will hear from the Project Against Violent Encounters, also known as PAVE, for their $5,000 request on tomorrow's ballot.
If there is a representative from PAVE, I'd ask that they raise their hand so they can be recognized.
I've promoted them to panelist.
Okay.
Lindsay Brilliant is your panelist. Lindsay, can we ask you to unmute yourself and turn on your video, please?
Hello. Can everyone hear me? I can't really see my screen. Okay. Hello, my name is Lindsay Brilliant. I'm here. I'm the new director of Project Against Violent Encounters, better known as PAVE. For those that are not familiar with us, we have been providing services to survivors of domestic and sexual abuse in Bennington County for over 40 years. And during that time, we have worked hard to build a relationship of trust with the community. This year, we are asking for level funding, and I just would like to touch on some of the things for the past year. During the past year, COVID-19 concerns created barriers to in-person services, especially for PAVE, leaving many of the most vulnerable in our community isolated. PAVE strived to continue to provide survivors with direct support they needed in these times of crisis. Phone support became essential, and PAVE fielded a combined 1,044 calls between both our hotline and just office. Our shelter also remained fully open and functioning, providing over 1,000 nights of shelter to fleeing survivors. The importance we have realized of teaching and modeling healthy relationship skills to our youth, especially during COVID, has become more of a priority as all of our social skills have become strained during the pandemic. PAVE firmly believes that education can break the cycle of violence and is working to strengthen our relationship with the community and provide more prevention services in the future. I lost my screen again. I'm sorry. This is not my normal setup.
We can still see you, Lindsay. We can still see you.
I just would like to say on behalf of PAVE and our board of directors and our staff, we truly appreciate the relationship with Bennington and the support that we have been given, and we hope to continue the relationship in the future.
Okay. Thank you, Lindsay. The next presenter will be for $5,500 from the Green Mountain Retired and Senior Volunteer Program, also commonly known as RSVP.
Hi, can you hear me and see me?
We can hear you.
Oh, you can't see me?
We can, just give us a second.
Okay.
Go ahead, Lenora.
Okay, thank you. Hi, my name is Lenora Volkmer. I'm the Bennington County Volunteer Coordinator for Green Mountain RSVP. To begin, I would like to say thank you for this opportunity to speak about our program, and thank you to our many volunteers who have continued to safely serve the Bennington community. Our volunteers have not skipped a beat and have continued to provide assistance to the community in the following ways. They have offered free tax preparation through the AARP tax aid service, delivered and supported Meals on Wheels, assisted seniors with grocery shopping and providing friendly phone calls through the Council on Aging, supporting the American Red Cross blood drives, quilting, sewing masks, and knitting mittens for hats, for those in need, as well as by providing support to the Bennington Senior Center, Bennington Free Library, Bennington Museum, and continuing to assist at the His Food Pantry located at the Sacred Heart St. Francis de Sales Church. We have created a new partnership with the food pantry located at Brock Community Action as well. In collaboration with the Bennington Free Library, our volunteers have been able to provide a free virtual book club for adults aged 60 plus, as well as a free book delivery service called Books on Wheels at both the Bennington Free Library and McCullough Library in North Bennington. With leadership from our certified leaders, our Bone Builders classes have been able to resume for residents to attend at the Bennington Senior Center, Homestead Muse, St. Peter's Episcopal Church, and briefly at Brookdale at Fillmore Pond. In an effort to spread some cheer to socially isolated seniors, our volunteers wrote cheerful messages on postcards that we provided, which were then distributed with the help of our partner agencies. Our program is requesting level funding, and your support is greatly appreciated. Thank you so much for your time and consideration.
Lenora, thank you very much. We will next hear from Brock Community Action in Southwestern Vermont for their $6,750 request on tomorrow's ballot.
Tom Donahue, if you could unmute and turn on your video, please.
Here I am. Thank you very much, Mr. Moderator, and appreciate the time this evening. I'm always in awe of listening to the other agencies and the great work that they're doing in Bennington. And I really appreciate the giving that all that's going on in the world right now, in Ukraine and around the world, the opportunity to have freedom of speech tonight to do a town meeting in Bennington. So I thank you for this opportunity. It feels good. My name is Tom Donahue. I'm the Chief Executive Officer for Brock Community Action. Our local staff and offices are located at 332 Orchard Road, right next to the fire station. As you may recall, I have a saying that the foundation of a great community is only as strong as how we treat our most vulnerable. At Brock Community Action, we have a two-pronged approach to helping those in need. We help those people through crisis, and we provide a sustainable path forward. Really wanted to take a minute tonight because I know the select board would be most interested in what we did during the pandemic and what we've done in the last year since it's continued to languish into now year 3. Our pandemic response and the dollars and cents are as follows. Working with Molly Stark and Bennington Elementary School, this winter we provided cold weather clothing to 20 families. We also provided hundreds of children's decorative cloth masks, as well as adult cloth masks from the CDC. We value this new partnership with local schools to reach more Bennington families in need. During this pandemic, we increased operation of the Brock Community Food Shelf from 3 to 5 days a week, feeding hundreds of hungry families. This 5-day-a-week operation will remain and not be dialed back post-COVID. Additionally, we have added a senior hour Friday afternoons from 2 to 3. In partnership with the state of Vermont in Bennington County last year, we provided almost $50,000 in crisis fuel assistance. Over half of that was provided to residents directly in the town of Bennington. We work with local companies to provide the heat to homes in the cold of winter. The funds go directly to the local companies, and in turn, they make an emergency delivery of up to 250 gallons of oil, 2 cords of wood, or 2 tons of pellets, for example. We also helped homeless families living in motels or elsewhere by providing over $68,000 in rapid resolution housing assistance. Over the 2-year pandemic period, we have provided over $153,000 in direct housing assistance to house the homeless. We also master leased 3 Bennington apartments to transition homeless families to permanent stable housing. For Bennington businesses, last year, you may recall that our micro business office provided over $160,000 in $5,000 business relief grants to 32 area businesses. We are back at it with a 3rd round of $5,000 recovery grants to micro businesses impacted by the pandemic, and already have 30 Bennington area businesses applying for another $160,000. These are outright grants to help businesses, micro businesses, small businesses in Bennington recover. We are responsible for implementing the state's home weatherization program in the county, and keeping pace with last year, we again provided over $250,000 in free home weatherization services just in the town of Bennington alone. This saved residents real money in heating and cooling, improved their living conditions, added value to their homes, and helped the environment. This also included emergency furnace repair and replacement, and oil tank repair and replacement too. As a critical focus of our pandemic recovery efforts at Brock Community Action, we have positioned ourselves to provide expert staff application assistance for eviction, disconnection, and foreclosure. To avoid pandemic-related eviction and disconnection, we are working in partnership with the Vermont State Housing Authority, the VSHA, and together we have assisted them in providing over $3.7 million in rental assistance to date. That program is nicknamed VRAP, you may have heard of it. Nearly 625 applicants in Bennington County. These funds typically go directly to the landlord, stabilizing both the tenant and the landlord with rental arrearage and utility assistance to those providers. To avoid pandemic-related foreclosure and disconnection, we are now working with the Vermont Housing Finance Agency, VHFA, to provide Bennington homeowners with mortgage arrearage, property taxes, and utilities up to $30,000 per applicant. These funds are directed to the lenders, utility providers, and the town of Bennington for delinquent property taxes, water, and sewer bills. I want to thank Bennington area legislators for having the confidence in us to successfully implement these critical programs. This is a quick snapshot that demonstrates over $4.2 million provided to assist Bennington area residents, landlords, utilities, and businesses last year in pandemic recovery and relief. Our organization does more, and I encourage you to go to brock.org or follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram to see our daily initiatives to help Bennington residents in need. With the pandemic languishing into its third year and the cost of living steadily on the rise, our assistance is more important to Bennington families than ever before. We sincerely value the town's support, and we thank you all.
Okay, thank you. Next, we will hear from the Vermont Center for Independent Living for their request for $7,000.
Hi, my name is Lynn Mazza. I'm from VCIL, the Vermont Center for Independent Living, which is a disability rights and advocacy organization. It believes that that individuals with disabilities have the right to live with dignity with appropriate supports in their own homes, to fully participate in their communities, and to make decisions about their own lives. We're headquartered in Montpelier, but we have branches across the state, including here in Bennington. We have various programs under our umbrella. First, we offer just straight information and referral. This is where people from other organizations or just the general public can call about resources and options. We also have the home access program. This modifies bathrooms and entryways and also provides wheelchair ramps to make housing more accessible for people who use wheelchairs or have mobility related disabilities. Another program is the Sue Williams Freedom Fund, which helps pay for equipment that a person requires to live at home, but insurance doesn't necessarily pay for. Similarly, during COVID, we had the RISE Fund, which was CARES Act money, which we used to provide for COVID-related emergencies. That funding has dried up, but the Sue Williams Freedom Fund is still in place. We have an equipment distribution program, which provides technology specifically for folks with communication related needs. And then the peer advocacy program, which I'm a part of, that works one-to-one with people on their individualized goals. And that's everything from housing to finding art supplies. It's really whatever individual folks need and want. This program also works on broader issues like systems advocacy and community engagement. We also work with the Senior Center meal site to facilitate Meals on Wheels, specifically for people with disabilities under the age of 60. And our youth transition program works closely with the area's high schools to assist youth with disabilities in making that leap from high school to adult life. We went remote during COVID, but we actually didn't slow down much at all. Currently, we are meeting face-to-face with folks, but because of COVID restrictions, it's by appointment only. If you have any questions, feel free to look us up online at vcil.org, or you can contact Charlie Murphy, my supervisor, at 802-445-3015. And thank you for your support.
Thank you, Lynn. Next, we will hear from the Southwestern Vermont Council on Aging Incorporated for their $7,500 request on tomorrow's ballot. And there's Chris Adams.
How you doing? My internet was unstable there for a minute. I assume we're at my part of the meeting here.
We are. You're up.
Great, thank you. Thanks for the opportunity to speak. My name is Chris Adams. I'm the Development and Communications Director with the Southwestern Vermont Council on Aging. Just again, thanks for the opportunity to speak. And I want to thank the residents of Bennington and the town of Bennington for all of your support over the years and helping us deliver important services to older Vermonters in your town. The mission of the Southwestern Vermont Council on Aging is to be a community force in creating and sustaining opportunities for elders and caregivers in our region to help assure that elders are able to maintain maximum independence and quality of life. I'm just going to cover a few of the highlights of our service to the town of Bennington in 2021. A couple of our larger programs that we provide to residents are our nutrition and case management services. Our nutrition program helped provide over 24,000 meals to the homes of nearly 170 elders in Bennington, often referred to as the Meals on Wheels program. In addition, 120 Bennington elders came together at a luncheon site in your area, and nearly 3,000 meals were provided. Additionally, SVCOA provided over 250 hours of one-on-one nutrition support, including nutrition assessments and resource connections and referrals to 170 residents of Bennington. And moving on to case management, our case management staff helped 277 elders in the Bennington community for over 3,000 hours of support. Again, those are just a couple of the programs that we provide. We also have a dedicated senior helpline staff. We offer Medicare and health benefit counseling, legal service assistance, our senior companion program, transportation assistance, caregiver support, and a money management program, among a variety of programs and services to support older Vermonters in Bennington. So that's just a quick look at 2021. Again, we're so thankful to the residents of Bennington for your past support, and hope that you will continue to support SVCOA this year. We have a $7,500 appropriations request that is level funded from last year. So thank you very much.
Chris, thank you very much. Next, if people haven't caught on, we're going in increasing amounts. Next is the $10,000 request for the tutorial center, and we have Sean Marie Aller with us.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. This is Sean Marie Oler. I am the Executive Director of the Tutorial Center, which is in its 51st year. I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak. The Tutorial Center provides an important service for our community. We offer a pathway to a high school diploma or a GED free of charge to any Vermonter 16 years of age or above who does not already have a high school credential. We also offer English as a second language, and we offer work readiness skills in literacy, math, and technology. In addition to this, we have a transition counselor who connects any of our students to the social services in Bennington and helps them get past any barriers they might have to employment, to housing, and we make sure that we try and connect them to the resources. In addition, we work with the area schools to provide education to students who may need an alternative placement temporarily. And we thank you for your support in the past, and we hope you'll continue to support us in the future. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Sean Marie. Next, we will hear from Bennington Project Independence and their request for $11,000. If you might need to unmute and activate your camera.
She is being promoted to panelist.
I'm sorry, could you, okay, thank you.
Linda, please unmute yourself and turn on your video.
Okay, I think I'm on now.
We can hear you.
Okay, can you see me?
We can see you.
Okay, good. Okay, thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. My name is Linda Putney. I'm president of the board of Bennington Project Independence Adult Day Service. As most of you know, BPI is a program for elders and younger persons with disabilities who need assistance, but they want to live at home. BPI supports family members who are unable to take care of the needs of their loved ones during the day because they work or because they can't be a full-time caregiver. BPI provides nursing care, sensitive and dignified personal care, social contacts, mental and physical activities that are fun. We provide nutritious meals and snacks, art therapy, lots of music, trips, and transportation to and from home. Most importantly, BPI helps keep older adults out of nursing homes. Here's what one of the family members says about BPI. Thank you so very much for taking excellent care of my husband. Bringing him to BPI has been a very good decision. And here is what one of our participants says. For all the wonderful employees of BPI who deal with the challenges of supporting the many people they serve, they are golden angels to all of us. Their compassion and understanding is so greatly appreciated by everyone who attends this program. God bless you all. And to the people of the town of Bennington, we want to thank you for your overwhelming support in the past. And we humbly ask for your support again this year. Thank you.
Linda, thank you very much. Next, we have a representative from the Bennington Free Clinic for their $12,500 request on tomorrow's ballot, and Mr. Charlie Jingo is here. Charlie, it's all yours.
Thank you, Jason. Good evening. I'm Charlie Jingo. I chair the board of Greater Bennington Interfaith Community Services. The Bennington Free Clinic is one of our programs. The Free Clinic has been in operation now for 13 years. We opened in January of 2009. It's located at 121 Depot Street in the GBIX building. The Free Clinic serves people who do not have health insurance because they can't afford it. And we also see some people at the clinic who have really high deductible insurance that makes it almost impossible for them to get care someplace else. The Free Clinic provides free medical care and care coordination to the people who come through our front door. And we also refer people to specialists in the community. We've got an amazing team of volunteer doctors and nurses who provide the care to the people that we serve. The clinic also does some other things. We help patients get enrolled in one of Vermont's health insurance programs. We screen all of our patients for substance use and abuse, for depression and other mental health issues, for smoking. And then we do brief interventions and we make referrals for treatment to other providers in the community. All of our female patients are screened for breast and cervical and cardiovascular disease. And then we check to see if they are eligible for our women's health education and wellness program called You First. Also, all patients are screened for their dental care. And we see a lot of folks with a lot of significant dental issues. We conduct flu clinics around the area in the fall and in the winter. And we run the Molly Stark Preventive Dental Hygiene Clinic. And at that clinic, we do teeth cleaning, oral varnishings, sealants for children. And we also do referrals to dentists in the community. Our town allocation is used to help pay for lab, X-ray, diagnostic tests, imaging services, and other outpatient services at the Southwestern Vermont Medical Center. And we also help pay for certain dental services that local providers offer. And for, again, for patients who cannot afford prescriptions, we help pay for those also. And lastly, the town allocation helps us to pay for our medical and our dental supplies and equipment. So the free clinic has been a busy place throughout the pandemic, and we ask for the town's continued support for the services that we provide to the community. Thank you.
Charlie, thank you for that presentation. Next, we have the Sunrise Family Resource Center and their request for a $15,000 allocation.
Thank you very much. Hello, everyone. My name is Jonathan Cooper, and I'm the treasurer of the board of the Sunrise Family Resource Center, one of 15 parent-child centers around the state and the designated PCC for Bennington County. I'm glad to be able to join you again this year. Sad that it's remote again this year, but looking forward to another successful year for Sunrise and for all the organizations that we've heard from tonight. As many of you know, the town of Bennington is sort of Sunrise. Despite our regional capacity, the town of Bennington is our primary service area. About 1,000 families in Bennington this past year, access to about 3,000 home visits, including needs such as housing, mental health, stress management, and parenting. We're happy to offer 154 parent education and support groups and 67 playgroups in the course of the past year, and 40 welcome baby bags each month to newborns in partnership with SVHC. We're quite proud of the 7 young parents who graduated with an MAU diploma from our Learning Together Alternative High School program. And there are 22 slots in our early care and education program. What I'm describing here is sort of an example of the breadth of services that Sunrise provides to families, whether it's advocacy, child integrated services, supportive housing, or other more concrete services. And as you probably know, the past year plus has been a year plus in which we've had to sort of step up our presence to assist families in the myriad ways that they've needed assistance over the past year with the additional stressors of the pandemic. With that in mind, we're gearing in 2022 towards really working on some standards, working on community needs, addressing community collaboration opportunities, such as the ones you've heard a little bit about in my previous remarks. But we are active in 32 community teams, committees, and task force groups. And an allocation that we've described here that we're asking for from the voters in the town of Bennington goes a long way towards helping our staff and management allocate their time and resources to those initiatives that take them a little beyond the strict borders of their work and allow them to reap the benefits of the collaboration with the many other organizations in our region that serve the county and the town of Bennington so well. Thanks very much for your time.
Thank you, Jonathan. Next, we have a representative from VNA and Hospice of the Southwest region for their, we have Bernadette Robin for their $21,600 request tomorrow. Bernadette, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. I truly appreciate the opportunity to speak with all of you. Last year, we proudly relocated to the Putnam block and really enjoy being a tenant in the downtown area. And I wanted to thank the residents of Bennington for your support of the many not-for-profits that have presented tonight and for our support, of course. The support that you give our agency truly has an impact on the lives of the people that we serve. Your support enables them to receive high quality, compassionate care in the safety and the comfort of their home, regardless of their financial situation. Last year, our team of dedicated staff members made more than 160,580 visits to 3,298 patients in Bennington and Rutland County. Of that, 34,160 visits were provided to 692 individuals in Bennington alone. And I wanted to just share one quick story about the impact of the support your dollars provide for a patient. We have a patient who is on a ventilator who has received over 4,500 hours of skilled nursing care in this past year. As a patient on a ventilator, they need a high level of care. That equates to about 12 hours of skilled nursing each day. Of that, $155,000 is not covered by Medicare or any private insurance. The difference in the cost of providing that care and the care that is received is covered by the support from towns like yours in Bennington and from other charitable contributions that we receive. Unlike for-profit agencies, support from the communities and our donors is reinvested in the care of our patients and the families and enables the patients to stay at home. We respectfully request level funding once again this year and truly appreciate the support of those in Bennington. Thank you.
Bernadette, thank you. Next, a $25,000 request for the Bennington County Coalition for the Homeless.
She's just now joining as a panelist.
Hi, everyone. How are you doing this evening?
Good, Chloe.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. On behalf of the Bennington County Coalition for the Homeless, we're very grateful for the support we've continued to receive from the town of Bennington. We've been helping people break the cycle of homelessness for 20 years. We currently have 2 shelters. One is a family shelter, one is for adult individuals. Our family shelter houses 9 families and is completely full with over 44 individuals served this year. And our single shelter has been on and off at capacity due to COVID outbreaks. So we have had some challenges with COVID, which has made it harder to serve as many individuals as we would like, because whenever we have a outbreak, we have to cut down on basically in half our beds. However, we've been able to remain open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, all year for anyone in need. And in addition to housing, we also offer drop-in services. So anyone who needs clothing or food or warm shower can also come by the shelter for those items. With over 200 people currently homeless in Bennington County staying on the motel voucher program, the need is greater than ever for housing in Bennington. We are excited that we've been partnering with Shires to open a new location for our family shelter, which will hopefully be this summer, and we're really looking forward to that. We're also working on a wide range of other programs and initiatives at the shelter. We are committed to providing more than just a safe place to sleep, but also case management. So I recently just hired our first full-time case manager to provide supports to all our guests. We also are in the process of hiring someone to further provide outreach and food and other services to the homeless in motels. I want to thank you all for your continued support of the coalition, and please feel free to reach out to me with any questions or if you'd like to discuss the shelter further or get a tour. I'm available, and my personal cell is 802-440-2487. And again, I want to thank you all for the opportunity to speak and for your support of every organization on this meeting, and hopefully continued support of BCCH as well.
Thanks. Thank you, Chloe. I have it on one agenda, but not on the other. There is one more article, and that is a town vote on the granting of tax exempt status to the Bennington Rescue Squad for their property on McKinley Street. What I don't know is if we have a representative from the rescue squad here to talk about that.
They will not be speaking tonight, Jason.
They will not be speaking tonight. Okay, there is a 15th ballot article. It does require a town vote in order for the town to grant tax exempt status for the Bennington Rescue Squad for their property. We're now going to move to the any other business portion of tonight's meeting for public comments. We have a few signed up, and we'll go in the order in which they signed up. I do remind people calling in or wishing to speak to keep comments relatively brief, typically 2 to 3 minutes if possible. And of course, they need to be on germane issues for town meeting. So first we have Jenny Rosicki, who would like to talk about the McCullough Library in North Bennington.
Okay, hello, can you hear me?
We can hear you, but we can't see you.
Okay.
That is intentional.
Oh, thank you, Jonah. Uh, one less thing to be nervous about, but thank you. So yeah, this is Jenny Rozicki. I'm the director of the John G. McCullough Free Library in North Bennington. And I'd like to thank Bennington residents for their continued usage and support of the library, and the elected officials also for their support as well. So if you are interested in a library membership, head on over to our website, which is new and improved. That's mcculloughlibrary.org. You can activate your membership there, find out all the stuff we're doing. There's a lot in there. Currently, the library building is closed because we are under renovations. Extensive renovations and much needed repairs are currently underway. The end result will be family friendly, accessible restrooms on both floors, a complete electrical rewiring, fire safety improvements, including, I guess, hardwired fire alarms, an HVAC system, a water fountain with a bottle filler on the second floor, repairs to the portico, which is at the front of the building, which has been water damaged, and a new accessible back door. And my favorite part, I guess, is the Laura Novak Memorial Meeting Room. We've taken a closet full of broken furniture, and it's going to be a laptop bar and small meeting space. So stay tuned. Construction should end in, we're hoping for late June. So keep an eye and ear out. I'd like to emphasize that direct local funding was not used for this project. So it all came from bequests, donations, grants, and ARPA funding through North Bennington. So very excited about that. And I'm sure you'll be hearing all about it because the library just received a highly competitive grant to help market this grand reopening. So stay tuned. And again, our website is mcculloughlibrary.org. Head on over and check it out. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Jenny Rozicki. Next, we have from an organization called Window Dressers, Madison Kremer.
Yes, hi, can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Great. My name is Madison Kramer, so thank you so much for the opportunity to speak tonight. Some may recognize me from Shires Housing, but I'm here tonight to speak as a representative of Window Dressers, which is a program that builds low-cost insulating window inserts. It is a Maine-based nonprofit, but a group of local volunteers, including myself, have worked really hard to bring it down to Bennington County in the past couple of years. I'm speaking tonight especially because we're embarking on our second year building these inserts locally, and we currently have funding available to help with the costs of inserts. So we're hoping to get the word out about that. There are a lot of old, drafty, expensive, and hard to heat homes in our area. I know, I live in one. It can be ungodly expensive to replace windows. And if you're a renter like myself, you have no say over that anyways. A lot of the options for insulating your windows that you'll find at like Home Depot are putting a film over the window, which you keep on all winter and then have to buy again the next year anyways. Or other options are flimsy, or you can't even see through them, which in the winter when there's no sunlight, you really want to see through your windows. What we're doing with the Window Dressers program is building low-cost, see-through, durable, and double pane inserts that are custom fitted. Not to make a profit, but we do this because we want to help folks feel comfortable in their own homes, to not be burdened by high heating costs, and to reduce their carbon dioxide pollution. So in 2021, local volunteers held our first window dresser community builds in Bennington County. We had one community build in Bennington and another in Arlington. And through that, we built around 400 inserts. This year, we have a little more experience under our belts. We're ready to serve more people. And again, we have this funding that's available to help cover the cost of inserts for low-income families. On average, the inserts cost $42 per window, but for a lot of folks, that's not affordable. And much of the funding that can help low-income families is time sensitive, and we need to spend it by springtime. So just to give an overview of the process and how it works, our volunteers measure windows, whether residential or commercial, and then send those measurements to the main team who sends us back kits to build the frames that'll fit those exact measurements. In a week-long workshop in the fall, we bring together all the folks who've ordered inserts, as well as a team of trained volunteers to assemble them. It's honestly a ton of fun, and it keeps the cost of inserts low. I could go on and on. I think this is a wonderful program and could be a resource to many in our community. I'm thankful that this is being filmed by Cat TV, so I can spew some contact information that you may not catch at first, but hopefully you can rewind as much as you need. So anyone who's interested or knows of someone who might be interested, you can call or email us at 802-234-3050 or email benningtoncountywd@gmail.com. You can also find information on our Window Dressers of Bennington County Facebook page or at windowdressers.org. Thank you again for the opportunity to speak. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Madison. Next, we have Tina Cook, who would like to speak on issues important to the town.
Hello, everyone. Thank you and good evening. This is my first town meeting, so I am enjoying this thoroughly. I just wanted to introduce myself. I am the president of National New Media Corp. I started that organization in the last year to assist Bennington's low and moderate income community members. In particular, historically marginalized communities and the BIPOC community. So some of my goals have been to facilitate outreach and to try and introduce and reach as many people as possible so that they can too participate in this wonderful tradition. So I want to say thank you for this opportunity to speak, and I have enjoyed myself and learning as much as I can and sharing this information as widely as I possibly can. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tina. Our next speaker is Ray Stevens, who is another person who would like to speak about the McCullough Library in North Bennington. Ray, the floor is yours.
I do not see a Ray on the list. Ray, could you please raise your hand? I see a second hand raised. I'm gonna hope that's you. I do not. Okay, I'm going to try to see if this is Ray Stevens. If you're not Ray Stevens, could you please temporarily lower your hand? I'm going to temporarily lower everyone's hands. And if there is a Ray Stevens, could you, and only Ray Stevens, raise your hand, please? Seeing none, Jason, I think we can move on.
We're going to move on. Next is my good friend, David Silver, and this is important. He is going to speak a little bit about the PFOA settlement that has affected so many people in Bennington and North Bennington. So if we can get David up on the screen, David will be speaking to give people information about where that stands in that settlement. David, when you're ready, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Great.
We can't see you though, but we can hear you.
It's too bad. It's too bad because I'm having a good hair day. That was a joke, Jason. You can smile. So
if it was funny, I would, but go ahead.
So my name is David Silver. I'm an attorney at Bar Sternberg here in Bennington, and along with Emily Josselson, who was attorney at Lang Roxbury, and my colleagues, Jason Whitlock and Gary Davis from Davis and Whitlock in North Carolina, we were the legal team. We are the legal team that represents the class in the class action suit against St. Gobain, which has recently settled. And I'm here to talk about significant cash payments that people in the community are entitled to that are in the class. And the class are people that owned property within what's called the zone of concern, and they own that property in March of 2016. And anybody who owned property in the zone in March of 2016 is in the class and entitled to a significant settlement payment, and also free medical monitoring if they had consumed water from a contaminated well during this period. So I just want to make it clear that the zone of concern is large sections of Bennington, a little bit of Shaftesbury and North Bennington, a large section of North Bennington. And I'll talk about that in a second, but it's important to know that if you're in the zone, even if you've always had town water, you are eligible for a significant cash payment. Even if your well was not contaminated or it had less than 20 parts per trillion, you are eligible for a significant cash payment. Even if you sold your property, so long as you owned it on March 14th of 2016, you are eligible for a significant cash payment. And if you're someone who owned the property in 2016 has unfortunately passed away, if you are the spouse or their heir, you can get the cash payment on their behalf. So the zone of concern is defined by the state of Vermont, and it was the area that was contaminated by PFOA in both the area soils, the groundwater, and the bedrock. And just in general, the zone includes, roughly speaking, the southern border of the zone is Main Street in Bennington, from the intersection of Route 79 all the way west to Gypsy Lane and onto Walloomsac Road. On the west side, Airport Road up to, but not including Whipstock Road, onto Orabed Road, River Road, Harrington Road, and onto Route 67 in Shaftesbury. The northern border is Route 67, parts of White Creek Road, Elm Street, Lamb Road, Harvest Hill Drive, and parts of Madison Road is included. McCarthy Acres, Town Line Road, over to Outwater Road, Chapel Road, and the beginning of Spur Road. The east border is Route 79, including Bedrock Road, down to Route 9, but also includes a little triangle of land bordered by Burgess Road and Main Street up to the intersection of Route 279. So if you have any question of whether or not you're in the zone, you can call me at 802-442-6341. I'll be happy to answer any of your questions. You should know that this settlement has been approved preliminarily by the court, and April 18th, there'll be a final hearing. But if everything goes as planned, there are minimum payments that you're entitled to, and an additional amount included in the payments would be related to the property value of your house in 2016 on the grand list. But just in general, the minimum payments are $1,000 for vacant lots, $4,000 for homes always on town water, $10,000 for homes with wells less than 20 parts per trillion, $20,000 for homes with wells at above 20 parts per trillion, and $30,000 for homes with wells above 20 parts per trillion, but were unfeasible to connect to town water. And those are the minimum payments. Many of these properties in these categories are going to get significantly more depending on the value of their property. So how do you get this payment? And I think we can all agree these are significant numbers here. You get this payment, you have to file a claim, and you file a claim with the correct supporting deadlines. The correct supporting documents before the deadline, which is probably going to be August 22nd, 2022, but it's best that you file as soon as possible. To learn how to file a claim, you go to www.benningtonvtclassaction.com. That's benningtonvtclassaction.com. You can click on the Updates and Meeting tab on the upper right of the page, and you'll see a link to a YouTube video that explains the process. You can file the claim online by going to that website, clicking the orange File Claim tab on the upper right of the page, and follow the instructions. You can also download a claim form from there and mail hard copies of the claim form and supporting documents. If you don't know how to use your computer, you don't have a computer, you call my office and we'll mail you one. We're happy to help you. Don't worry about bothering us. There's only one claim form per property. And if you own multiple properties, you have to file a separate claim form for each. Now, the other thing is medical monitoring. This settlement created a $6 million fund for free medical monitoring for people that were drinking water from contaminated wells and had elevated levels of PFOA in their blood system as measured by a blood test. If you have a blood test and you had more than 2.1 parts per billion, then you're eligible for free medical monitoring, and you need to fill out the claim form to get it. Now, if you were drinking from a contaminated well, or your children or grandchildren were, and they didn't have blood tests, apply for the medical monitoring program anyway. There will be free blood tests available at some point after May. Just indicate on your form that you need a test. You'll be contacted and you'll get a free blood test sometime after May of this year. So that's basically it. If you have any questions about it, please call me. We worked very hard for this settlement. We think it'll be very beneficial for each of you that had property in the zone, and it'd be good for the community for you all to participate. Thank you.
Thank you, David. But David, before you go, if you're still there, can you just give the website, the phone number, and any email address one more time so people can get that, please?
Sure. The website is www.benningtonvtclassaction.com, all one word, benningtonvtclassaction.com. You can call my office at 802-442-6341. We'll be glad to help you navigate this whole process.
Mr. Morrissey, before David goes,
is this Jim? Is this Jim Carroll?
It is. I have a question.
Jim, do you have a question?
I do. I have a question for David. Is this limited only to property owners and not renters of those properties?
Yes, it's property owners. But if you were a renter and you were drinking from a contaminated well, you're eligible for the exposure class based on your blood levels.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay.
We have two hands up.
We have two hands up. Well, who put their hand up first? Let's go in the order they raised their hands.
The ending in
We're now,
439.
if there's any questions, I just want to remind people, if you're going to speak and you're listening on CAT TV, please turn off. I don't know, Jonah, if you want to put up the slide again for people to call in if they'd like to, but we do have somebody with their hand up. If you've elevated them, then they should, once they're cleared to speak, they should identify themselves and state their town of residence.
You are now able to speak. This is ending in 439, phone caller.
That would be Mary Morrissey calling. I just have a very quick question, and I am a resident of Bennington. You asked for what town we lived in. I had several constituents of mine call to ask in regards to Article 1, and I didn't want to give them the wrong information. So I'm not sure if this question is geared to Stuart or to Jeannie Jenkins as the chair of the board, but is the total town budget $14,718,930? Is that the total Bennington budget?
Stuart or Jeannie, whoever would like to speak on that.
That is the total, Mary. That includes general fund, highway, and limited town of Bennington Fire Department.
Okay. Now, I'm sorry, would you say that again? What does it include?
It includes the general fund, the highway fund, and the Bennington Village Fire Department.
Okay. because the way it was worded, and that was why I didn't want to answer my constituents, you've got the 4 million number under it saying that it's laid out for maintaining and repairing highways and bridges. Then you've got the 10 million plus it's one, with indebtedness, legal authority, whatever. Then on top of it, the next column, you've got another $583,200. So where are those numbers in the 10,000 number there?
Those are, the law requires that we include any budgeted items that we plan to reserve for specific projects. So those numbers are all within that $14 million. And they will be used for the purposes enunciated. If they are not used, they will then be, any remaining amount of money will be set aside for future years for those specific projects.
Okay. Well, I appreciate the clarification because the way it was worded kind of was a little bit confusing, and I hope my constituents are listening tonight. They weren't really comfortable in calling in or Zooming in, so hopefully they're watching and hearing. Otherwise, I'll make sure they are aware of that is the budget number. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Mary.
Next
Stuart,
caller.
just to clarify, and if I, hold on, Jonah, just to clarify, I hope I didn't misread it, but the warning in fact reads in Article 1, the 4,336,20 for the highway budget, 10,382,910 for everything else. And the final part of the warning says the proposed budget includes, and those are the line items I think that you just stated need to be by law mentioned specifically, but they're included in the greater number already.
That's correct, Jason.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I should. Yes.
Jonah, did you have another hand raised, Jonah?
Next caller ending in 025 can now speak. Caller ending in 025.
Hi, this is Nancy White calling, Bennington. I did try to call in with questions on the budget. My call was not taken. Sue, am I correct in reading your message in the town report that if the budget passes, it'll mean a 5% increase in our taxes?
That is correct. That includes also all of the agencies which are on the ballot. When we show the comparison, we have to compare it to apples. So we always compare it to the previous year's budget, which includes the agencies all level funded. I think the total amount there is 131,000 plus. So those agencies add a little over a penny to that, what would normally be about 4 cents increase if the budget is approved. If all the agencies are approved, it brings it up to just over 5.
Well, looking at a 5% increase in taxes.
No, I'm sorry, Nancy, that's a 5-cent increase in the tax rate. It's
okay,
not
but didn't
percent.
I thought your message said it would result in a 5% increase in taxes. Did I read that wrong?
I'm checking what I said. No, you're correct. I'm sorry. You are correct.
Okay. Well, I would urge Bennington residents to get out and defeat the budget tomorrow. A big issue for everybody should be the proposed police oversight committee. The select board got the report a month ago. The select board should have held 3 meetings. By now, Bennington residents should know everything the select board is going to allow the committee to do. We should know how much the budget is going to be and where the money is going to come from. And most importantly, we should have heard from the police department. I'm concerned that there are certain things the group is going to do that will cause us to lose good police officers. I think it's going to make it harder to hire good police officers in the future. The select board shouldn't be waiting for 3 weeks to announce their decisions. I think they're doing it on purpose so that if the budget passes, citizens won't have a say. So if you want to keep Bennington as a safe town, get out, defeat the budget tomorrow. And I guess I won't be able to ask questions about the rest of the budget, correct?
Nancy, it's a question about a budget is a very legitimate question for the town meeting. If you have a question, please ask it.
Sure. Well, I've been asking the select board since December. How much will the budget be for the police oversight committee?
Is there anybody from the select board that would like to address Ms. White's question on that?
Yes, Nancy, it hasn't been determined. So as you are aware, there's been a month-long written comment period that ends on March 7th. And then there will be 2 more meetings where we are still taking public comment. It'll be oral comment at that point. And we will make a decision after we have heard from residents of the community. So no decision has been made yet.
Where will the money come from for the oversight group?
Nancy, it's unclear what will be needed for the oversight group. So
you're asking Bennington residents to vote on a budget, not knowing how much money you want for the committee, and not telling us where the money's going to come from.
Nancy, the budget, anything that we do in the next year will be in line with the budget that the voters approve. So we will have that constraint in terms of how we spend money for the town.
Okay, last question. 3rd year in a row that the YMCA has provided no financial information in our town report. They said they sold about 1,500 memberships. They didn't say how much money it generated. They provided no numbers as far as how many day visits people used the rec center for, or the money that generated. Nothing was mentioned about swim lessons, birthday parties, or other things our recreation department used to provide. If their budget ended in December, I don't understand why they can't get this financial information into the town report.
I believe that's probably directed to Stuart. I know it's an outside agency. Stuart, I don't know if you can answer that or to the extent you can answer that.
Well, all I can say, I mean, there is a piece that the YMCA provided for the annual report that talked about the programs that they offered this year. They are not necessarily required to detail their entire budget process, but I can tell you that last year they didn't bill us for the final 3 months of the year because they had received sufficient funds in grants and other revenue to offset that. And I can add to that so far this year, the months of July, August, September, October, November, December, and January, and in this portion of February, they haven't billed us yet. So they are saving us in the range of $5,000 to $6,000 a month because of their efforts to develop memberships, to receive grants and aid. And all we should be concerned about is the money we allocate to the Y. And so far, they have saved us a great deal of money by their activities this year.
Stuart, would it be fair to say, just to clarify it a little bit, the Y is not a town department. If there's a fee we have to pay them, that is part of our budget, but then they're an outside agency.
Correct. It's a contracted service.
Thank you.
They are running the recreation programs under contract with the town.
But they are also allowed to keep all of the money generated at our town rec center, am I correct?
That's correct.
And that is not how you approve the contract or the memo that Stu provided the people of Bennington. So I think if they can use the rec center for free, if we're paying all the bills for the rec center and the property, and we are providing them funding at times, we have a right to know how much money they are generating up there.
Well, you're not quite accurate there, Nancy. They pay for their employee staff for many of the operating supplies that that they're using at the center to provide the programs. We pay for the rec center, we pay for the building maintenance, we pay for the grounds maintenance, and then we contract with them to provide the programs.
Thank you, Nancy. Jonah or Dan, are there any other hands raised?
Tina Cook has raised her hand a second time.
Tina, you're recognized. Do you have a question for any of the town officials?
Thank you again. Actually, I don't have any questions this time. I do want to take a moment, though, a moment of silence to remember Sandy Sumner and to express my condolences to his wife, Marie-Pierre Huguet. She was my boss when I worked at Southwest Tech in the Adult Education Center. And I knew Sandy, and he had a heart of gold. Like she said, everybody loves Sandy. So I just wanted to take a moment. And before that, I also wanted to maybe make a recommendation. I love the sign language. Maybe we can add closed captioning as well for people who might want to take advantage of the language translation options. But if we could take a moment of silence for Sandy.
We will just have a brief moment of silence. We recognize Sandy's passing. I'm just going to say this as the moderator. We're near the end of the meeting. We're going to allow it. But then as we allow this, I feel compelled as other people call in to allow it. So this is a moment of silence for all those that are dear to us that have passed in the last year, and not just for Sandy Sumner, who was a wonderful man. I knew him a little bit myself. So just a moment of silence for those that have passed in Bennington, Vermont in the last year. Thank you. Thank you, Tina. Jonah, are there any other hands available?
There are no more hands raised at present.
Okay, with that, we're going to stand adjourned until tomorrow morning. As we said at the beginning of the meeting, polls will open at 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. If you are in the village of North Bennington, you'll vote in the village town office, which is better known as the North Bennington train station. All other Bennington residents will vote at the Bennington Firehouse located on River Street, but you'll use the Lincoln Street entrance to come in. You park in back of the building and come in through the Lincoln Street entrance. With that, I thank you for participating in tonight's meeting. There are many good questions, a lot of good information, and we are now adjourned until tomorrow morning.
CAT TV is celebrating 30 years of community media. Help support CAT TV's next 30 years by becoming a member today. Your membership will help us continue covering meaningful, local content. Thank you for supporting your local community media station.